Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we'll be jumping down into the charts to take a look at 3 altcoins that I think are going to perform incredibly well in the coming weeks and months. As I get into this video, if you do think it is useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. And if you happen to be new to the channel, why not consider subscribing? Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. In the description down below you will find links to our Discord server. It's completely free to join. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. Why not check it out? I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. If you're looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, however, links in the description down below just for our Patreon services. If you're looking for that a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check that out as well? Right, let's jump on right down into these 3 altcoins that I think are absolutely going to smash it. So the first one we want to talk about, guys, is actually Boba. Now, Boba is a layer 2 for Ethereum, right? So very similar to what we see with Polygon and things like that, but they've actually been building their platform out for quite some time, and it has been performing quite well recently. Last time we covered this, we were talking about some kind of potential move to the upside. This was pretty much around this area when we were doing the analysis looking for this C wave up higher, right? And essentially this was around the kind of 4th of April time. We saw a big surge, right? So we actually kind of caught this one a little bit earlier, but we moved up about 34%, and then we start to see this kind of pullback down, kind of natural after the events and everything that's been going on here. So a natural kind of pullback. Now, obviously we have come down lower to this start point, but we actually have gone into a pretty good low point down here, and we're starting to see a bit of a run back to the upside. So essentially we've got a really good move to the upside here, and we are now mapping this back down. So I'm just going to kind of draw out what I think this actually looks like on a slightly bigger scale. So we have this larger kind of play here, and inside this last little move we also have our A, B, and our C, right? So we can map that out. Now that is an overextension there, but it is in potentially going to be invalidated on any impulsive structures if we continue to just run up, right? From here we can also see that a potential move just going on. We have 1, 2, and 3, so another 3-wave move. Again, the same structure that we saw this side, right? A 3-3-5, and ultimately what we're looking at here is now a reversal and a pullback down. We're in the oversold area on the stochastic RSI, so if we pull this down we can also see that there's a little bit more room to comb to the downside. So let's just focus in on that for a second here and just see if we can find any good entries on this one. So essentially if we go ahead and just grab hold of this, pull this down to a fraction here, so our B wave high just comes up to about 146.6, so right about here, and we can see that this 1-to-1 ratio is about 136. Now that's your 1-to-1 ratio. That's the most common that you would normally expect to see, right, when it comes to everything that is going on with Boba, right, and in terms of the price action, and specifically the A and the C wave. A 1-to-1 ratio is the most common that you see. Now, it doesn't mean that is what you're going to find every single time. Sometimes they don't actually do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if they've got any good areas of support and resistance to be found right in this sweet spot, and I think there's one right about here. And so this would actually resonate incredibly well with the 786, so that could be a really good turning point for us. Where we are right now is also already met the minimum requirements of a C wave, and if we see what way we are, is there any kind of major kind of levels of support in this range? Yeah, there's a little bit here, nothing too major, but there is a reasonable amount right in and about that spot there. But I think we are probably going to see us pull back down a little bit further, and I do think that we're going to be in this kind of zone, right? So I think we're probably going to be right about here. Let me just mark this up, and I'll grab hold of the price level so you guys can make it a little bit easier to see where these actually are, right? So I think if I was to look at buying some Boba, I'm going to be looking anywhere between 138 and 140. That seems to be a pretty good point for a reversal. It's a little bit higher than the 1-to-1 ratio, so we will just mark that up down here as well as a potential low point, and I'll grab a horizontal ray and I'll just go and mark that right there. Okay, so this first altcoin that we're talking about, I think they're starting to ramp up a lot of their marketing efforts. The team is being built out more, the ecosystem's being out more, lots of projects looking to launch on this layer 2 solution for Ethereum, and as a result I do think there's going to be some similar moves as what we did see with Polygon Matic in 2021 later in the year here for Boba. Obviously it's too soon to really know 100% on what that looks like, but I do think there's going to be some really good moves to be had with this particular altcoin, specifically as we come down to these lower areas of retracement where we can be scooping up a decent position at a pretty good price. So we have the low end here about 136.6, but I think the most probable is going to be 138.7 to about 140.3, and that for me is going to be the area that I will be focusing in on Boba. Okay, so that's the first altcoin. BOBA is the ticker. Why not check it out? Right, so I'm going to just shoot up actually onto the daily chart for a second here as well. just to talk about this move, right? Because essentially what we have got, just so everyone is fully aware, is a big A wave coming up. This is actually marking our B wave down, and there will be a slightly higher move with a C wave, and that might turn impulsive. It might have a 5-wave structure to it. It might not. So I'm going to just pop this down on top of that 136.7 for now. And then mark that as the B wave. It might go down a little bit lower, but we don't know that for sure just yet. And this would actually show us moving out about $2.67 on the daily chart, right? On the 1-to-1 ratio. Again, that would put us at about 93% to the upside. So I just wanted to kind of call that out as something kind of reversal going on here. We've moved past some of these resistance points. It's not a huge amount of data. So, you know, we could still be looking at downside, but considering the momentum indicator here, looking at that we're oversold on the daily chart, and we are looking pretty good on Boba as far as I am concerned. So let's jump on down into that second altcoin. Now, the second altcoin probably needs no introduction, guys. It is going to be 𝗕𝗓. Now, 𝗕𝗓's on an absolute run today, and we'll jump down into the hourly chart just to kind of review what I think is going on here. So basically, we pulled back down. Okay, so we had our third wave high. We pulled down into this yellow box area that we were talking about. We actually went down a little bit lower. If I just pull this across here, you can see this retracement a little bit lower than my expected area. Okay, I was expecting this to be as low as 132, and we actually came down to 129.4. So it's a little bit off there, but it's pretty much right where we were thinking of dollar cost averaging, right? So, and for us, we would kind of take an advantage of this point. And then riding it up, right? Essentially, if we jump back into that daily chart for 1 sec here, you can see that we're tracking this 5-wave structure to the upside, big reversal over the downward moves that we've been having on 𝗕𝗓, and we're tracking this nicely to the upside, right? And we're right in now inside the zone for our final fifth wave, right? The minimum requirement on this is 191, and the higher side would be about $2.15. This is under the standard measurements of a fib of the fourth wave. Now, we could, of course, push this a little bit higher to this yellow dash line at the top here, about 239, but I do think that would require a lot more momentum than it is currently left for 𝗕𝗓, in my opinion. As we come back down into the hourly chart here for 𝗕𝗓, what we can do is we can take a look at this fantastic structure that we're currently witnessing. We've seen a lot of selling pressure as we've entered into this zone. This is an understandable thing. We also need to correct down from this over area on the hourly chart. Now, taking a look at this, there's a couple of different ways we can look at it, right? We can potentially say right inside here that there's some kind of impulsive move structure that's going on, right? And we can see that that is a potential, but we haven't really hit what I would consider the minimum requirements for that. So instead, what I'm kind of mapping this at is some kind of ABC move, and I think we're likely to see another kind of ABC down before we rally on back up again. Of course, we could mark this up as an overextended 5-wave, but I think ultimately it's probably safer if we actually just go to say this is an A, this is a B, and this is a C wave. Now, inside here, we have an ABC, we have an ABC going down, and this actually hasn't got a lot of noise in it. It's actually just pretty much straight up, right? So I think that this C wave is potentially going to go much higher, and we should potentially see some kind of ABC come down here. So what I think is that's a big A, that's a big B. We have to move that big C wave back up again. Okay, so we're just over wicking the 1-to-1 on this larger move here, but I think this might actually end up getting overextended. So if I remove that fib, for example, and we start thinking about where we might retrace to, you know, we'll have a potential move to then move this up to that higher range of about $2.15. Okay, so anyone who has been paying attention to everything that we've been talking about for 𝗕𝗓 in our Discord server, or, you know, maybe on some of these YouTube videos, I know we don't cover it too much, but it's absolutely fantastic stuff going on there. Potentially now taking advantage. We moved up about 50% so far. I still think we've got the potential to move up about 66 in total. So it's an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on. But we are coming towards the end of this move, this final fifth wave for 𝗕𝗓. But what does that mean? Well, it means that there's going to be a retracement. Okay, we are likely to pull back, and it's going to be a pretty significant one. And I do expect us to kind of come down to anywhere between, and this is going to sound absolutely crazy, specifically today when we're seeing a green day, but I do think we're going to come down towards the 73.5 and $1.07 range, right? So I think this is going to be a big kind of ABC correction. And the reason for this area is basically a common or typical relationship for a wave 2, right? Because I am hypothesizing that all of this is a big wave 1, and this will be a wave 2 with a fantastic wave 3 to come, with 4 and 5 that comes after. Okay, so when we actually really take a look at that weekly chart, what we're actually witnessing here, I believe, would be a wave 1 scenario. Okay, it could be an A wave, and we should obviously articulate it as an A wave to start with. But if we were to speculate a little bit, we would say that this is a wave A. Sorry, I should actually put that as a wave 1. So we just grab that. So that'd be basically a wave 1. We'll come down into this sweet spot between 73.5 and 107.8. a fantastic wave 3, pull back for wave 4, and then a good run with wave 5 again, right? And that's the kind of structure I think that we're going to see for SDAO during 2022. But do expect a pretty deep retracement in the next little leg, right? So once we have completed that 5th wave higher, which technically we have already met the minimum requirements for now, we should be talking about some kind of ABC corrective move going down, and we are talking about 73.5 to 107, okay? But there's some fantastic gains still to be made here, some short-term stuff, but I think the real opportunity comes later once we have this correction and we ride this up into several 100% in terms of gains. So what about that third altcoin? Well, the third altcoin is 𝗕𝗪𝗂. Now, I spoke about this one the other day because it has huge potential. Now, I'm just going to jump down into this hourly chart. I know there's conflicting information around this one. However, there's a lot of fundamental stuff that I think is fantastic. Now, we were tracking and completed or potentially completing a 4th wave down, right? So basically, we have a 5-wave structure. This is being a rather complex 4th wave correction with a 335, and that 5th wave ending approximately where we are right now. Now, invalidation for this actually comes in at 1.78. It hasn't been invalidated yet. Some people might think that they're actually, the wave 1's higher than it actually is. It isn't. It is lower than it is. At least some people may be articulating. But essentially what we have here is a 5-wave structure looking to get completed. We look to actually potentially have this in that range of being completed right now, and we are tracking a potential ABC to the upside. Now, there are some issues with this. Let me just tidy this up a little bit. And that is the sense that basically that is being traded quite heavily by bots, right? And therefore they can front run you if you're going to use market orders and things like that specifically. But essentially, we were tracking this low point. Okay, we actually dropped down just a little bit below it. And this actually would mark our wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves inside our 5th wave. And now we're looking to try to find our way back out. Okay, we are in a corrective pattern right now. And I think we have a potential to push up towards not this 2.16 but 2.15, but I think that may have just adjusted a little bit, so we'll just have another look at that. We grab hold of our fib here. We'll just measure this out and move that over to that recent low. So that's actually now looking more like 212 in that kind of sweet spot right there. So a little bit lower than what I was looking at earlier, but basically right up here, right? So if we complete this structure, that's what we're looking for. Now, invalidation of this ABC would come in if we were to drop down a lower than our current low point down here, the beginning of our A wave, the origin of our A wave. This comes in at 1.88 cent, okay? So if we drop down lower than that with this recent move, that's invalidated. There is no ABC structure to the upside. Instead, there's micro movements that are occurring here, and we should consider those with our analysis here as to what is going on, right? So essentially, we have five waves here. We have 5 waves here as well. 5 waves, right? So basically, all of our nesting is actually occurring, and it's looking pretty good, right? So we've got basically 5 waves coming down from the upper side. We've got 5 waves inside our 5 waves, and inside that final 5th wave, we've got 5 waves, right? A lot of noise, a lot of things going on, but essentially everything is basically coming right down into this low point. Now, as I said, if we drop down past 1.78, then it is invalidated. If we do not, however, the next run for 𝗕𝗪𝗂 actually comes in pretty significantly higher, okay? And I've spoken about this a few times. We'll just take it from the current position. So from the current price right now, we're talking about 220%, okay? Obviously, we have to adjust as well, actually thinking about it. The low point on our wave 4, we adjust that. We can also adjust our target zones because they do also fluctuate a little bit. Let me just move this up. It becomes 9.06 on the higher side and 625 on the lower side, right about here. So a little bit higher, probably around that 123%. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for. Of course, if we do lose that support, that's not going to happen, and there is more downside to happen here. And all of this was just a large ABC, which would be very disappointing, but it is a possibility, and we should acknowledge that as a possibility. Now, another reason that we should be thinking the potential of upside is very nigh, rather than a potential of downside, is the fact that we are completely oversold on this daily chart. We've been oversold for quite some time, lower in fact than we were before we actually started this run to the upside. So when we start to see a reversal on this one, I don't think it's going to be slow in its momentum. It's going to absolutely rocket on out of here. We take a look at the 8 hourly, we're also oversold. We take a look at the 4 hourly, we do need to see a correction, and we are oversold on our hourly chart. So essentially, looking at the stochastic RSI and the momentum behind the price, everything is actually lining up to find the bottom here for 𝗕𝗎 before we actually start to see a pretty significant run to the upside, in my opinion. But that is all it is. These are 3 altcoins that I think are going to do incredibly well. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. What I can do is give you my insight into what I think is going on with these particular altcoins. If you found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.